What are 3 things we as people can get wrong about God? When we make our relationship with God about getting what we want, what we feel, or what we think, it's going to impact who we think God is. And that has a major influence on if we want to be close to Him or not. Today we're going to look at a parable in the Bible, which are just stories Jesus used to help us better understand both ourselves and God. And it's going to help us accurately see who God is based on how He responds to our assumptions about Him. Oftentimes we live life thinking that the spotlight is on us. We are main characters in our own life story. The conflict is, it's actually not about us, it's about God. God is incredibly generous, loving, and caring, even when we misunderstand Him, use Him, or hurt Him. His love for us remains unchanged. When we understand who God is, we will really want to have a relationship with Him. Let's take a look at the parable of the Prodigal Son to help us understand 3 things we get wrong about God. Point number 1, we think God is an ATM. Luke 15, verse 11 through 12. To illustrate the point further, Jesus told them this story. A man had 2 sons. The younger son told his father, "I want my share of your estate now before you die." So his father agreed to divide his wealth between his sons. The younger son saw his relationship with his father as what he could get from him. He approached the relationship like how we would approach an ATM machine. Do what is required, then get what we want out of it. In most cases, ATMs is money. The younger son had a "how can this relationship benefit me" view of his father. Let's continue in verse 13. A few days later, this younger son packed up his belongings and moved to a distant land, and there he wasted all his money on wild living. About the time his money ran out, a great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. He persuaded a local farmer to hire him, and the man sent him into his fields to feed the pigs. When he lived for himself, he had this me attitude. He eventually found himself in a spot where he didn't initially intend to be in. He was in a desperate position.
Oh no. No, I made God cry? Oh, stomachache. Welcome back, old friend.
Have you ever been in a situation like that? Where you feel stuck, somewhere you don't want to be, but part of the reason you're there is because your own mistakes. How do you feel or react when you're in that spot? In verse 16, it says, the young man became so hungry that even the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him, but no one would give him anything. When he finally came to his senses, he said to himself, "At home, even the hired servants have food enough to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. I will go home to my father and say, 'Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant.'" So let's recap what's happened so far. The younger son got what he wanted, then distanced himself from his father. He literally traveled to a far-off land to do whatever he wanted. But eventually, the son learned that his distance didn't just hurt his father, but hurt himself. And his perspective on his father changed. He came to his senses and started appreciating his father. His focus shifted from himself to their relationship. Do you think your approach to God is about what you want or what He wants? The way to tell is to reflect on what consumes your mind the most in a given day. Are your thoughts centered around you and your wants, or on your relationship with God and what He wants? I think about myself most of the time. Even when I think of others or God, it always kind of finds its way back to me and how does it affect me? Then as a consequence, I end up feeling lonely, disconnected, and miserable. And the people around me feel especially hurt by my selfish living. What are some things you have been experiencing in your life that could help you come to your senses and appreciate your relationship with God? Another thing we get wrong about God is we think He expects perfection. Luke 15, verse 20. So he returned home to his father, and while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. His son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy of being called your son." It's moving to see the father's heart towards his younger son. I love how he notices his son while the son is still a long way off. The father is looking for his son, eagerly anticipating that one day he would return. The fact that the father runs to his son as soon as he catches a glimpse of him tells us that the most important thing to God is our presence, not our perfection. Let's continue in verse 22. But his father said to the servants, "Quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet, and kill the calf we have been fattening. We must celebrate with a feast. For this son of mine was dead and has now returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found." So the party began. God's love for us is so enormous that he's willing to forgive us for any sins we have committed towards him. It doesn't matter how entitled, selfish, or proud we've been. He doesn't care about making a point to us as much as he cares about our presence. He wants our relationship and loves it when we want a relationship with him too.
I don't know how I can ever make it up to you, but how can you forgive me so easily? I thought you would be furious with me.
I was never angry with you. I was sad because I was afraid you lost your way.
I did lose my way.
But you found it again.
Think about it. How do you handle guilt in your life? Do you respond to it by hiding and distancing yourself from God and others? Or do you let your guilt make you more grateful to God for his forgiveness? Before we head into our last section, I want to tell you about a special project Deep Spirituality is working on that fits into the theme of this video. We are publishing our first book, He's Not Who You Think He Is, Dropping Your Assumptions and Discovering God for Yourself. It's written by our editor-in-chief, Russ Ewell, and all the interactive media was put together by the collective effort of our team here at Deep Spirituality. This book invites you to discover a refreshingly original way of thinking about Christianity, in which God is at the center rather than people, religion, or emotion. Our goal is to offer hope to anyone who is curious, confused, or has grown cynical about organized religion and the God it presents. Because we know the Christianity of the Bible is inspiring, intimate, and innovative, it is life-changing and undeniably attractive. The book expands upon the topic that we're actually talking about in this video and so much more. You can find it on Amazon, Kindle, Audible, links in the description below, and our third and final point, we think God wants to hold us back. Luke 15:25. Meanwhile, the older son was in the fields working. When he returned home, he heard music and dancing in the house, and he asked one of the servants, "What is going on?" "Your brother is back," he was told, "and your father has killed the fattened calf. We are celebrating because of his safe return." The older brother was angry and wouldn't go in. Oh snap! I feel a plot twist coming on. His father came out and begged him, but he replied, "All these years I've slaved for you and never once refused to do a single thing you told me to. And in all that time you never gave me even one young goat for a feast with my friends. Yet when the son of yours comes back after squandering your money on prostitutes, you celebrate by killing the fattened calf?" His father said to him, "Look, dear son, you have always stayed by me, and everything I have is yours. We had to celebrate this happy day, for your brother was dead and has come back to life. He was lost, but now he is found." This story isn't just about the younger son and what he gets wrong about God. It's also the older son too. Though on the outside, the older brother was the polar opposite of his younger brother. He was just as self-focused and entitled. He saw his dad as someone who was holding him back from doing what he really wanted. He felt like he had to fall in line and obey all the rules. He had an unspoken agreement with his father, not an actual relationship. The older brother thought that if he was obedient, he should be entitled to his father's money, property, and possessions. This made his relationship with his father a transactional relationship rather than an actual connection. Then the older brother got angry because he felt like it was unfair for his father to celebrate the return of the younger brother who had been disobedient, while the older brother had spent years following all the rules. I'm very much like the older brother in this story. I think that if I'm obedient, then good things should happen. I should get what I'm owed. But when life happens or my sin has consequences, I get upset and mad at God. The older brother could have had a similar experience to the younger son where he grew to focus on the relationship rather than himself. He could have had fun, celebrated, and been happy to be close to his family. But instead, he chose to stay focused on himself and his view that his dad was holding him back, which kept him bitter, angry, and alone. So, which brother are you going to be today? So, what do you get wrong about God? Is he an ATM transaction? Do you think he's all about perfection? Or he's here just trying to hold you back from what you actually want to do? How do you think your view of God affects your relationship with him? Remember, God is incredibly generous, loving, and caring, even when we misunderstand him, use him, or hurt him. His love for us remains unchanged. When we understand who God really is, we will want to have a close relationship with him. So that about wraps it up. If you like this video, hit the like button below, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also comment, what is something you get wrong about God? Maybe it was one of the 3 things we talked about today, or something else. And for more video devotionals, check out our channel and deepspirituality.com. And if you want to learn more about who God is, check out our YouTube playlist we have put together for you on all of our God Is videos. Peace.